Season 3 of Squid Game is one emotional roller coaster after another, but what makes it hit so hard is how one major death early on quietly set the stage for Gi-hun's heartbreaking fate in the finale. At first glance, it might feel like the death of Hyun-ju, a character many viewers grew to love, was just another painful loss in the brutal game. But if you go back and look closely, her sacrifice mirrors Gi-hun's own journey and shows how deeply the show plays with themes of love, protection, and choosing others over oneself, even in a world designed to make people do the opposite. Season 3 kicks off right where Season 2 left us, with Gi-hun, played again brilliantly by Lee Jung-jae, trying to take down the people running the games. His mission doesn't work out the way he'd hoped, and many people die because of it. Feeling defeated and lost, Gi-hun almost completely gives up. But while he's at his lowest, another character rises, Hyun-ju, a survivor from the previous revolt, played by Park Sun-hoon. With nothing left to lose, she throws herself into protecting her new friends, especially Jun-hee, Jo Yu-ri, and Jeonja, Kang Ae-shim, during the deadly hide-and-seek game. These three women form a tight-knit group, and when Jun-hee gives birth during the fourth game, their priorities shift instantly. Now it's not just about surviving the next round, it's about making sure the baby survives. Hyun-ju becomes the one constantly putting herself on the line, and in doing so, she makes a choice that ends up costing her life, but also giving Gi-hun something new to live for. Hyun-ju's death happens in one of the most emotionally intense scenes of the season. She discovers a way out of the maze while trying to protect Jun-hee and the baby. She's holding all the keys they need to escape, and at that moment, she could have just left. But instead of running, she chooses to go back for her friends. That selfless decision costs her everything. She's stabbed in the back by Myung-gi, Si-won, who doesn't even notice Jun-hee or Jeonja hiding nearby. He's just looking to eliminate competition and increase his cut of the prize money. It's a quick, brutal moment that shows how little humanity matters in these games, but it also says something powerful about those who still try to hold on to it. Her death isn't just sad, it's symbolic. Hyun-ju could have escaped, but she didn't. She cared more about helping others, even when it cost her everything. This one decision directly mirrors Gi-hun's own final act in the season when he chooses to protect the baby too. It's like Hyun-ju passed on her mission to Gi-hun through her actions and sacrifice. And Jeonja reinforces this before her own tragic end, when she tells Gi-hun to take care of Jun-hee and her child. Even after Jun-hee dies to make sure Gi-hun can protect her baby, the torch keeps getting passed. There's also something deeply tragic about how Hyun-ju's death reveals Myung-gi's true nature. Myung-gi, who was once seen as trying to help Jun-hee, turns out to be the father of her baby. He switches roles with her in the hide-and-seek game, promising he'll come back once he wins. At first, there's this question of whether he really cares about Jun-hee. But after what he does to Hyun-ju, there's no doubt, he's only ever been out for himself. Jun-hee knows exactly what kind of person he is after that. She hears the announcement that he's already passed the game, so there was no reason for him to kill Hyun-ju, except for greed. He just wanted a bigger slice of the cash. This betrayal is what ultimately pushes Jun-hee to cut ties with him entirely, calling him trash and saying he'll have nothing to do with the baby. This moment sets Myung-gi up as one of the final villains of the season. He becomes willing to do the unthinkable, killing the baby to ensure his own survival. And even though it's hard to watch, Jun-hee's stand against him becomes one of the most powerful scenes in the series. She may not survive, but she stands up for what's right, and in doing so, helps protect her child even in death. The contrast between Myung-gi and characters like Hyun-ju couldn't be more clear. Myung-gi represents the worst kind of player, selfish, cold, and ready to betray anyone. Hyun-ju, on the other hand, is someone who chooses to believe in the possibility of goodness even when surrounded by violence. And that belief ends up inspiring the rest of the characters, especially Gi-hun. Another moment that reinforces this theme comes when Jeonja, who's also been protecting Jun-hee and her baby, makes a horrifying choice. She sees her own son, Young-sik, Yang Dong-gun, about to kill Jun-hee while she's holding the baby. To stop him, she stabs him, her own child. Then, overwhelmed with grief and guilt, she ends her own life. But before she does, she tells Gi-hun what happened and asks him to take on the responsibility of caring for the baby. By the time Gi-hun reaches the final round, he's not just playing for himself anymore. He's playing to protect someone truly innocent. He doesn't just want to win the money, he wants to give the baby a future. And when it comes down to the final decision, he sacrifices himself so she can live. In that one heartbreaking moment, Gi-hun finishes what Hyun-ju started. Her death wasn't in vain because it inspired others to keep going, even when everything seemed lost. This message that no matter how dark the world gets, some people will still choose to protect each other is one of the strongest takeaways from Squid Game Season 3. It's the same message Gi-hun tried to spread throughout the show, even when it felt like nobody believed him. He always said that there's still good in people, even in the worst circumstances. Hyun-ju, Myung-gi, Jun-hee, and eventually Gi-hun himself proved that he was right. Even though Gi-hun dies, the fact that the baby survives gives the season a bittersweet ending. It's not a clean victory, but it's a hopeful one. The games might continue and the system might remain as cruel as ever, but the fact that people like Hyun-ju existed means that there's still something worth saving in this world. She showed that you could choose kindness even in a place designed to punish it. Player 120's death earlier in the season adds another layer to this. He wasn't a major character, but his quiet sacrifice helped prove Gi-hun's point too. He helped someone else in the middle of a game, even when it put him at risk. These little moments, scattered throughout the season, all come together to show that the spirit of humanity can't be completely crushed. There will always be people who choose to help others, even if it costs them their lives. In the end, Hyun-ju's death was the emotional and moral turning point of the season. It wasn't just a sad moment, it was the spark that reignited Gi-hun's purpose and helped define the show's message. Her actions echoed all the way to the finale, and her spirit lived on through Gi-hun's final decision. That's why her death was more than just tragic, it was the beginning of something bigger. A chain reaction that ultimately saved a life and proved that love and sacrifice still matter.